6-week holidays is always quite manic.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to stay regulated and calm and do all of that with the kids. But it's nice. I feel like summer, I always try and take it a little bit slower and have that opportunity to take a step back because I can be like full speed, like go, 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 especially with the kids, work, all of that type of stuff. So I do like to prioritize myself in the summer and just try and take my foot off the pedal a little bit, try and slow my brain down,
And chill.
which doesn't always
Yeah.
work. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing really.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's like it is hard. It must be difficult to obviously balance you trying to build something for
Yeah,
yourself while obviously trying to help them with their future and help
yeah,
them in whatever way is needed because
yeah.
they're still at the age where the mum aspect is needed quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, they're still quite young. And I think the biggest thing for me is trying to manage, and this is what they don't tell you when you become a parent, is trying to manage their emotions whilst trying to manage your own emotions
Mm-hmm.
is like the most difficult thing. Like, I think that that's the thing that should be getting taught in schools. And, you know, the thing that when you become a parent, you should have to learn because nobody is telling parents how to regulate their emotions and really put yourself first and stay calm and centered whilst your child's having a meltdown because you can't physically help them with their emotions and teach them how to do all of those things, which is a lifelong skill, whilst battling your own emotions and not knowing how to feel them and move through them and have that regulation. And I think that for me is the biggest challenge with motherhood, especially,
Mm-hmm.
you know, summer holidays, lack of routine, all of those types of things. Um, it can be quite difficult. So that is the balance that I'm constantly trying to get is
Mm-hmm.
like my emotions, their emotions, all of us together staying calm and regulated. That's like a daily challenge.
It must be because I can even think from just the aspect of anybody who's trying to create or do something for themselves
Yeah.
as well. You put a a heaps amount of pressure on
Yeah.
yourself to do that, but then
Yeah.
you've also got the pressure of
Yeah.
being a mum like so many other people, all other mums do. But
Yeah.
it's for you, the category of you especially
Mm-hmm.
of mums. It's I would say looked on even harder because
Mm.
you're most of the time, I would say, the main person who would look after
Mm-hmm.
your child, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's like trying to succeed yourself, but to succeed as a mum with its kids.
Yeah.
It is a big burden to carry,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And I think we're the generation that I'm in, like millennial mums, we have had the internet, which
Hmm.
has been amazing because you can Google like, is this like, do you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
diagnosing your kids, like, oh my God, have they got this? Like there's so much information
Hmm.
out there. And again, like I learned about emotional regulation through the internet and that type of stuff. So it's amazing what access we've got, but also there is this overwhelming amount of information about motherhood, how to do it right. Like we are being bombarded every single day with what motherhood looks like. Like you see women who are running like 7-figure businesses and they've got
Hmm.
5 kids, and you're just like, oh my God, like how are all these women doing it? It's just insane. When obviously that's not the whole story.
Hmm.
Like that's just a highlight reel. And but I think that our generation have access to all of that information, and actually it's been a bit of a detriment because it's too much. Like
Hmm.
we've kind of been disconnected from that intuition and that knowing of like what we want to be as mums and like what we want to do with our kids and how we want to mother like according to our values and stuff like that. So yeah, we are being bombarded with this message of you can do it all, but actually really when you try and do it all, you are going to burn yourself out. And there are certain things with my creative work that I have had to take a step back. Like there are certain times and seasons in motherhood where I have had to just admit defeat and be like, my kids need me more. Like I can do small projects and like this is what I can manage to have that creative outlet. But when it comes to like, you know, writing a book or doing some of that bigger stuff, like it's just not the season. And like that does have to take a bit of a backseat. So it's all about kind of managing it in seasons, I find, like in phases. And sometimes they're going to need me more and that has to take a backseat. Other times, you know, I've got a little bit more freedom to do those creative projects and stuff. So it's like that constant balance and act.
Hmm. Sometimes it is, but I love that you're able to obviously do that and show that to others that you are
Yeah.
able to take that pause and that pause is okay because
Yeah.
it can still you can still come back to it
Yeah.
when the season's right or
Yeah.
it could literally be the summer holiday. Like it could
Yeah,
like the season could be the summer holidays, and
yeah,
then you go back into it, and then you're full steam into that. But
yeah,
there is so much. I think because the likes of being able to look online and see the heaps of all
mm,
different people from, like you said, women who've got 5 kids and
yeah,
seven-figure businesses to people with parents and life hacks, and
yeah,
it's somewhat can be an overload to
yeah, it's too much.
stimulate your brain to be like, oh, look at this one. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that. I must be doing something
yeah,
wrong. Or you compare yourself as the business from the business aspect. You're like,
yeah,
I'm not as far as they are, and they've also got the same amount of kids or even
yeah,
more and balancing it. But you just see like the highlights of it, don't you? So
yeah,
it is so much. It's very stimulating for a person, especially with someone who's dealing with the emotions of yourself and then the
mm,
emotions of younger people as well. So
yeah,
I can see that, but I do like the way that you're able to just take a step back
mm,
because I think a lot of people, not everyone, they're on the idea of go, 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 go
yeah,
until you drop basically.
yeah.
And
Well,
by that, I mean get sick or
yeah.
you're just fatigued or burn out, anything like
It
that.
is, I think, also like my generation of women are really struggling with that burnout because, again, we were raised on this internet ideal of girl boss and like, you can do it all, you can be it
Hmm.
all, when actually most of us are working full-time jobs, trying to be creative on the side. Like we've got like a million different things
Hmm.
that we're juggling. Whereas when my mum was younger and she had 7 kids, that was her job.
Hmm.
Like that was her
Yeah.
whole job. She was a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mum. Now in this economy and everything else that's going on, a lot of people, that is just not
Hmm.
feasible anymore. Like you need a 2 income household. So
Of course.
we're also juggling that aspect. Plus, we are still primary carers for our kids.
Yeah.
Plus, we're seeing those opportunities on the internet and saying, oh my God, like it is amazing. We've got all of those opportunities now to share our story and be creative and write books and build a community. And I think that that's a really wonderful thing. But trying to do all of those things is really difficult sometimes. And you can find yourself even comparing yourself to people who don't have kids, like because again, it's access.
Yeah,
We've got
because you just
access
see
to
it.
it. We see it
Hmm.
on the internet, and that's the norm.
Hmm.
Like, and then you have to stop yourself and be like, that person is not in my phase of life. It's not my
Hmm.
situation, but
It's just uncomparable. I
it
think
is. Yeah,
anybody on anything, it's you can't compare.
everyone is so
You can take
different.
inspiration or you can
Yeah,
look in a fondly way of where it
yeah,
doesn't account to jealousy or to
yeah.
like putting pressure on yourself, but actually trying to analyze somebody else and then compare that to yourself. It just
It's never gonna
no
work.
matter who you are, you could look at anybody.
Yeah,
It doesn't just have to be what we're talking about with
yeah,
your situation. It can be absolutely anything in that.
yeah.
But that is a good point because if you go back to say your mum's generation or say my nan even, it can almost be that was their one role. So
Hmm.
a mum is almost I probably is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
It's
job, isn't it?
unpaid job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It can sometimes feel like
yeah.
a job because you're constantly there for somebody else, like
Hmm.
any other thing. You're serving somebody else in
Yeah,
some way, wherever it is.
yeah,
But then, like you said, people are adding two different things on, which is amazing because we've got so much opportunity.
yeah.
I know that one thing that doesn't help is obviously the way we are financially
Mm.
across all over, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, you need that, don't you? You
Yeah,
need that. You can't live off
yeah,
one wage.
yeah,
So it is challenging, definitely.
yeah. Multiple
Mm.
jobs at once.
Well, if we look from when we were speaking, you do everything from blogging, you do creative outlets,
Yeah.
you're a mum, you've got a business, you have a community with other people.
Mm.
Has that always been a plan, or has it just come at the times where you felt it was right, or has this always been, I want to do this, I want to do this, or do you think it's just almost this has fell into place and then, oh, this
Yeah,
has arrived, and
yeah.
what would you say?
I never had a plan and I still don't have
Mm-hmm.
a plan. Like I genuinely do not know what I'm doing on a daily basis. And I mean that. I started blogging when I was a new mum in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
my son. And I actually qualified as a personal trainer when I was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
with him. So when I had him, I started doing like fitness classes for mums and just wanted to like help other mums really. That's always been my I've always had that drive to like help people. I am the eldest daughter, so I feel like that's ingrained in me
Mhm.
that I always want to help people. And I am quite a nurturing person. So I was doing fitness classes for mums. So that's why I started social media, was purely just to connect with other mums and see who I could help and things like that. But I had a blog then around that time again, just to like promote my services and stuff. But I did feel like it was this real full circle moment because I loved writing as a kid. Like I always made my own little storybooks and I just thrived at English and I love to read and I always wanted to be a writer. So it felt very much like me coming back to that version of myself when I was just writing these blogs. But I never had this intention of, I'm going to write a blog and I'm going to build a community. It was literally just more so for me, like from a selfish perspective. I wanted to write down some of those experiences that I was feeling. And if the byproduct of that was going to be one person was going to read it and they were going to feel less alone as a mum, that would be enough. Like genuinely, I didn't ever see it going anywhere. I just wanted to write those experiences down. It was very cathartic for me. It was like an online diary. That's kind of how I treated my Instagram. And the more that I wrote really honestly, the more like mums would come up to me and say, "Oh my God, like thank you so much for writing this. And like you're so brave for writing this." And I've always been quite an honest person in that respect. Like it doesn't really like vulnerability comes quite easily to
Mhm.
me. So I didn't think it was that brave of a thing. But when people start telling you like, oh my God, like nobody talks about this and nobody admits this. And I was a bit like, oh God, like, it's a
That
bit
puts you in
scary.
nice stead though, because it's also just it's comfortable for you to do. So
Yeah.
you putting it out, there's not like a worry in your mind. Oh,
Yeah.
this is gonna, this feels not right for me or that.
Yeah. And it
And
definitely made me feel less alone
mhm,
because they were validating that
yeah,
and being like, oh my God, we feel this way as well,
yeah.
but you've just said it. And so that's kind of how it started, like with the whole Instagram blogging.
Mhm,
And yeah, I've really just gone from there. Like I just follow my creative ideas, like follow what it is that I feel like my audience, benefits from and how I can help people and
mhm.
things. So um it's kind of how it's evolved really.
So you wouldn't say that it was like stepping into any thought of a career. It was more. Do
No.
you feel like it was finding something that feels good for you,
Yeah,
almost?
I would write even if nobody was reading. Like
Mhm.
I have always journaled. That's always been
Yeah.
my emotional process to regulate my emotions and go through things and understand myself a bit more, especially after becoming a mum and you kind of go through this whole identity shift of who am I, like this whole new person I've got to meet and get to know. And so that for me was like such a big thing. Like writing really helped me through that time. So then to kind of transfer that into writing online
Mhm.
just felt like a natural step um, for me to kind of process that whilst also hopefully the byproduct was helping somebody, feel less alone and making people feel really safe in what they're feeling. But I never had any sort of plan. It was just keep writing what feels true to you, see what people connect with. That was kind of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do think that's the sweet spot, to be able to provide something for others, but then it
Yeah.
also gives you so much in return. I think
Yeah.
it's so good. Like I obviously from conversations like this,
Mm.
you can other people can get touched or learn or
Yeah.
see stuff from it or help them in whatever way
Yeah.
it will in the conversation. But then in the same breath, I just enjoy speaking to the person. So
Yeah.
it's like it's an ideal situation
Yeah.
for both.
I don't think you'll ever sustain your creativity if there isn't something for you. If you
Yeah.
aren't creating for yourself first, you will not want to get up in
Hmm.
the morning and do that
Yeah.
creative
And I don't
thing.
think it can just be like money or mimetic.
No,
I don't think it
no.
can.
I have done things in the past with that in mind
Mm,
and being like, okay, I need to get serious about this. I need to turn this into a business. I need to like follow the income, follow the money. It does not feel as good.
mhm.
It feels terrible. And yes, you get the money and you get the followers and all of those things, but it is very short lived. Like that
Mhm.
feeling only lasts for so
And you don't
long.
want to carry on with it
No,
because there's
like
only
that's,
so many,
you
like,
end up
yeah,
just going, oh, this actually doesn't feel that great.
yeah,
And
because it
like,
turns into like a
it's a chore.
chore and a
Yeah.
job because we get to a point in certain jobs, either if it was like your first job when you
Yeah.
started, when you left school to jobs now, people
Mm.
leave jobs because it almost ends up feeling like a
Yeah.
chore
Yeah.
and you'd end up doing the exact same thing yourself
Yeah.
just because it's chasing something that is, I don't think you can control that. I think it comes when it's needed,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. It's like when you're just flowing and doing it, that is when
yeah.
everything else flows.
And I think the hardest thing is learning how to trust
Mhm.
that. Again, going back to social media and the internet and like what we've got access to now, because there are so many people out there
Mhm.
telling you to chase the money, telling you to get more followers, telling you to go bigger.
Mhm.
And I
Everything
think,
is like maxing out,
yeah,
like,
everything is like
yeah,
do more, do again,
yeah,
like going back to that's why people are burning
yeah.
out and that's why people are just kind of like, oh my God, I'm so
Mhm.
exhausted, like trying to juggle everything. And I do think that you can do all of those things and still not feel creatively fulfilled and not feel like yourself.
Mhm. I would totally agree.
Yeah.
Everything is just like, okay, then how can you scale this and how can
Yeah.
you scale that? And it's never like, I think even when you have conversations with people a lot of the time, people are like, so what's the next move? Where are you going with
Yeah.
this? So you're going to try and reach your blog out to more people? Are you going to try and
Yeah.
write 6 novels in a
Yeah.
year? Like,
Yeah.
instead of it just being like,
Just enjoy the
yeah,
moment.
like,
Yeah.
it's boss, you're enjoying this
Yeah.
and you're on the next thing already. It's not like trying to,
Yeah. That's what happened like when I wrote my book. I remember doing a talk, like I
yeah.
got asked to do a speech and I did it. And one of the questions, and I hadn't actually published it yet. It was
Hmm.
like due in a few weeks or something. And I was talking about it and saying, this is I did the whole promo thing at the
Yeah.
end. This is the book that I'm coming out with, blah, blah, blah. And then when they did any questions, one of the questions was, what's your next book?
Uh,
And I was like, I don't
yeah.
know. Like I've just wrote this
Yeah.
one. Like, can we just get this one
Yeah.
out into the world?
Yeah.
And then, but I do think that's how we think now. Like it's
Hmm.
constantly,
Well, yeah, everything. I feel like a lot of people even just ask the questions, either if it could be a podcast or it could just be an interview, and it's everybody asks the next. Like, I can even view it from a sport perspective.
yeah,
You win something and it's like, so what's next?
yeah,
What are you looking for next? Are you looking to try and win it twice? Like,
yeah,
and it's the same in everything. You have people close to you say, you have people in a wider community say to you, and it's
yeah.
like you said, just like,
Enjoy the
yeah,
moment.
there's for like when you got asked questions about the book, for example, if we go back to that time, you could literally, I could think of thousands of questions that you could ask on the topic of
Yeah,
you at that time. Or I think more people think about the future than thinking about the process of you coming to the point you are in now.
yeah,
So like, how did you write the book?
yeah, yeah,
What were the feelings going into it? Did you have difficult days?
yeah,
Like, it's just off the top of my head. But we look too far ahead instead of thinking like even in the back to like be like, oh
yeah,
my God, this person's put this much time, effort, sweat, energy,
yeah,
mental capacity,
yeah,
whatever, into it. And we're always asking for the future.
yeah. No, it's so true. And I think that it's again like got to do with social media. It's
Hmm.
that constant like forward projection of where you're gonna go, how are you gonna do more? Like it's you will push us. Like I am big on sustainability. I do think it's really, really important that you do enjoy that process. Like I became a different person
Hmm.
when I was writing my book. So even if I'd have published that book and it would have flopped and like none of my community would have bought it, I still would have been a different person at the end of it. And I still would have been like, oh my God, I'm so proud. That's something that I wanted to do since I
Hmm.
was a kid. Like I'm
Yeah.
so proud of myself for doing it. Um, you can't focus so much on outcomes because none of that is ever
Hmm. Yeah.
guaranteed. There was never any guarantee that it was gonna become a bestseller or any of those things. Like I had to just do that for myself and just know that I was enjoying the process. I've learned something new. Like you can't predict these
Hmm.
things.
Did you know what you wanted to do? Like, even if you go back, track back a
I
few
don't
years.
think consciously I ever was like said the words I wanted to be a writer, but
Hmm.
when I look back, I always wanted to do something creative. Like I imagine myself working in a magazine
Yeah.
or doing something like that. Like I really admired writers. Like I said, I was a massive reader. So I was always like, they were kind of my
Hmm.
inspirations were like writers and um it just wasn't really something that was encouraged in school. I don't think like
Yeah.
I don't know didn't know anyone at the time who was a writer and making that their career. I didn't it wasn't talked about in school about how to become a writer. But I think looking back, definitely it is something that I've always felt passionate about. Yeah.
Hmm. I do agree. It's like we have passions that we would somewhat, lots of people do end up turning them
Yeah.
into careers. But I do think there is, even though you said that in school you weren't encouraged, I do think we do get encouraged so young to figure out what we want to do, or
Yeah.
encouraged to. go into a certain route
I
very
think the
early
fact
on.
that you've got to even choose what you want to do at
Mhm.
university at 18,
Yeah.
which when I look at who I was at
Yeah.
18, I was in no fit
Mhm.
state
Well,
to
I had
make
the
that
exact same
choice.
down.
Yeah.
Expect to know what you wanna do at 18 is like
Like, how would you ever
mhm,
know that that's what you want? I mean,
mhm.
some people are born with that, like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a
Yeah.
doctor. Like, it's very,
Mhm. Yeah.
I wasn't. It was just a little bit like at that age, well, I'll just kind of do what is going to bring the best money or
Mhm.
like is the most obvious choice. So it wasn't, there just wasn't a lot of options. And like I said, creativity really wasn't an option. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily, I
Like it
mean,
is now anyway.
well,
I would
exactly.
say I'd
Yeah.
say now it's so huge, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh my God." Everyone that I feel like feels comfortable to do them in whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like people are like buzzing to see anybody
Yeah.
do what they love to do or that's their passion and you
Well, I
can
think
see
you've
their
got
creativity.
opportunities now to choose yourself. And
Yeah.
like I self-published my first book and
Mhm.
I probably could have reached out to agents. I didn't even try because for me, I was just kind of like, I want to write this book and I want to publish it.
Mhm.
I know that publishing traditionally is a very long process. I know for my brain that would not work. If someone said to me, oh yeah, you can write this book and a year later it'll be published, I'm like, no,
Mhm.
like I need this to
Yeah.
be out like in the next 6 weeks. So I was able to choose myself and do all of that myself. And I think, again, social media is an incredible place because you don't have to wait for somebody to give you a job. You don't have to wait for somebody to say you are a good enough artist or you are a good enough podcaster. Like you can start a podcast
Mhm.
yourself, you can choose yourself. And that is the positive of it, I think.
Mhm. Definitely. Like
Yeah.
you can begin anything today.
Yeah.
That's the like if I look from my situation, if podcast wasn't a thing or where you'd interview people, you'd have to build yourself up through the BBC or an
Yeah.
industry or a radio show
Yeah.
to just then hopefully one day be able to have your own show.
Yeah.
Like if you look back 20 years, you wouldn't even like think like
No,
that's a
it's
career
not
at all.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think it takes a lot of bravery
Yeah.
though. And I think a
Mm.
lot of people still don't have that courage
Hmm.
to do it. Like I
Yeah,
still
of
think
course.
that putting yourself out there is a really big thing. And again, I think for people like me and you, we probably just bypass that and go,
Hmm.
oh, it comes so naturally
Yeah.
to us. It's what we want to do. Like we just want to create, we want to put ourselves out there. There is a big emotional element,
Yeah.
I think, to people being able to do that and being visible in front of so many people. And I think
Just sharing something.
yeah,
Yeah.
sharing their story. I work with a lot of women who have incredible stories and
Hmm.
want to tell them and think and know that they can help someone
Hmm.
with that story, but it just can't find that
Yeah,
courage
of
to put
course.
themselves on camera or start the
Hmm.
podcast or whatever. So I also think that that is a massive thing as well.
Hmm. It's very difficult, can't it? It can be too
Yeah,
much too soon
yeah,
to take all in for some people. Like, I think a perfect example for me is I see so many when I've been going out to interview people in the street,
hmm,
the most conscious people to go up to that mostly give you no's is younger, like around
yeah,
our age. If I
mm,
go up to an old person who isn't on social media, has no clue about it,
yeah,
and say, "Can I ask you a question?"
yeah. Because they
while I'm
probably think you
walking?
just having a conversation,
Yeah,
whereas the young person is thinking this is going to go on social media
yeah.
and people are
This is
going to
gonna
see it. My
be yeah,
friends are going to see
yeah.
it and like
I'm gonna
whatever.
get
Yeah,
judged, either positive or
yeah,
negative. But
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's actually quite sad in some ways to
It
think
really
that
is. Yeah,
because the people who know the most don't want to.
yeah.
And I know there's going to be people who just aren't comfortable and don't want to,
Mm.
but I bet there is some people who maybe I have or you'd walk past and think they probably would, but they
Yeah.
just haven't said.
And I think, again, like with social media, there is such a wide variety of things that you can
Hmm.
do now. Like I always say to clients, if you don't want to get on camera, if you don't want to do videos, if you're not comfortable with taking photos of yourself, you don't have to do
Hmm.
those things.
Yeah,
Write a blog, write a book. Like, writers are famously quite
yeah,
introverted people because they just want to sit in a room
mhm,
and just
yeah,
write and like not have to interact with people. So there is a medium for everyone, I think, and a creative outlet that is going to make you feel good. I think everybody has that opportunity to
mhm,
share their story in
of
some way.
course. It's
Yeah.
not putting too much pressure on. Everyone has to fit the same scheme or the
Yeah.
same path to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Hmm. So when we spoke, you also shared something that you almost dealt with for years with actually knowing what it was or what you were trying to say mask or cope or deal with.
Yeah.
Are we okay to go into your diagnosis of what it
Yeah.
is and how it started, how you found out you had it, and
Yeah.
even you can talk before that without
Yeah.
knowing what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got diagnosed with ADHD 3 years ago when I was
Mhm.
32. And the reason why I started investigating it is because I had two kids under two. I was very
Mhm.
overwhelmed. And at first, I did just think that it was overwhelm. I thought that I wasn't managing motherhood very well. I felt like I just couldn't juggle all the things that I was supposed to juggle. I was forgetting doctor's
Mhm.
appointments and I couldn't keep up on those like day to day type of stuff. And then it was actually social media where I think it was somebody that I followed had posted that they'd had a diagnosis and she started talking a little bit about what it is that she was struggling with. And she was a mum too, and she put it down to being overwhelmed. Um, and the more I started to look into it, I was like, oh my God, this isn't just something that I'm dealing with now. These are things that I've been dealing with since I was a child, but
Mhm.
not necessarily maybe talked about because I didn't know how,
Yeah.
when you're a child and nobody else was talking about that back then anyway. I didn't really know how to express how I felt. So it was just kind of I just got on with it and presumed that it was normal. So I waited about 18 months for a diagnosis and then I finally went for the assessment and he said, I have absolutely no doubt that you've got ADHD and he diagnosed me. So it was a big relief really for me because again, there were certain things that I have struggled with since I was a child that I just have always internalized that as me being
Mhm.
wrong or like doing something wrong or like comparing myself to other people and thinking, oh, why can they do, especially with motherhood? I was like, that person over there is like making butter from scratch and doing all of this like amazing stuff. And I can't even get my kids, to nursery on time. And I'm like struggling with the really small things. So it was a relief to know that actually I'm not broken. I'm just wired differently. My brain is just different. And I have different support needs, and that's going to obviously affect the way that I parent and create
Mhm.
and see the world. So it did give me that starting point of like having to unlearn a lot of things about the way that I see myself, the way that I see parenting, the way that I see creativity, the world, relationships, like all of that type of
Mhm.
stuff. So, but it was largely really positive
Mhm.
change in my life. Yeah.
I would think that from just like being on the exterior or like a fly on a wall because it's freeing
Yeah.
because you have an understanding of what it is. It's
Yeah.
not just like, "Oh, it's up with me."
Yeah.
It's like, no, nothing's up with me. It's just
Yeah.
I know how to function
Yeah.
for my needs in my way and
Yeah.
my family. And if this is annoying me, it's okay.
Yeah.
It like
It was like
yeah,
permission really. And,
yeah.
you know, I have always loved like self-development
Hmm.
and, spirituality and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff that I read just never worked for me. Like I'd always just read a book and be like, right, like this is gonna change my life. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and like I'm gonna be a completely
Yeah.
different person. And it just never really stuck. And then I would feel bad because again, I'd be like, well, everyone else loves this book and everyone else has used this method and they've completely changed who they are. But actually a lot of those books are written for like
Hmm.
neurotypical people. They're not written for people with brains like me. So even seeing from that perspective of, okay, I need to read books that are going to support who I am. I am
Hmm.
going to take advice from people who have walked a day in my shoes. Like, I am going to really be more specific with the support that I need because I am different and I
Hmm.
need different support from the people around me and myself as well.
Hmm. So would you say a lot of things made sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny because they asked for your, like school reports.
Hmm.
So they asked when they're doing the assessment, they asked for your school reports. And a lot of it was like Sophie's really gifted, Sophie's really talented, but she does talk a lot, or she does she can get a little bit distracted,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that in school. Like I forgot that I was that person
Yeah.
who was like, yeah, like really academically pretty did really well in school, but I was kind of very chatty and distracted quite easily. So it's funny when you look back because you do forget about those things, but
Hmm.
it did make sense. Yeah.
It does. It almost makes you like understand why
Yeah.
like people thought that, or I was
Yeah.
like that, or I, I struggled with a certain thing,
Yeah.
or I excelled at this thing. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's a relief, isn't it? Almost,
Mhm.
it's like there's an answer, and
Mhm.
it's more calming when you've got that answer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it did feel that way. And again, just knowing how to support myself, especially with parenting when I feel really overwhelmed, asking my husband to take over
Mhm,
and being like, my brain's just not working right now. Like, you need to just do X, Y, and Z helps our relationship,
mhm. But even
helps
him
us.
knowing it's like
Well,
it's so
exactly. Yeah.
powerful, and I bet it's powerful for so many, either if it's your parents or your
Yeah,
partner or even your kids when they get to a certain age, if they
yeah,
can understand and take that step back of like, okay, me doing that doesn't help mum.
yeah.
I'll
I am very open and honest
consciously,
with
yeah.
them. I will say, mummy's brain is a little bit different. Mummy's having a bad brain day. Like,
Mhm,
this is what I need you to do. I am very open and honest with them because I
mhm,
think that's important. And even like with things like rest, I'm like, mummy's having a rest. I need 10
mhm.
minutes and then
Yeah,
I will come and play. Like,
yeah.
I have that open communication with them because again, I think it's important for them
Mhm,
to see somebody putting themselves first and being like, no, this is a boundary. Like,
mhm.
I need X, Y, and Z to be able to be, a sane person.
Yeah,
And I want them to be able to do the same when
yeah.
they're older as well.
And it's just like understanding others' needs at that
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
time, which will help them in full stead with anything, either in a
yeah,
job, a partner in the future,
yeah. Well,
friendships.
they've
Yeah,
got friends and people in their
yeah.
class with who are neurodivergent. So again, it's opening up that world to them that we are all different and not
Mhm,
everyone is the same, and people are going to look different and think different, and
mhm.
that's absolutely okay.
And being able to see and understand it so
Yeah,
early on is going to be so vital because
yeah,
that change is going to, obviously, if you're installing it into your kids, other kids might learn from your
yeah.
kids, and then that repeated
Hopefully,
effect,
yeah,
it's just like it's a rolling effect, isn't it?
yeah,
Like you said, so you got diagnosed very late, didn't you? And
yeah.
when we spoke and I did research, it is quite common for women to get diagnosed later, isn't it?
It is. I think the average age for boys is 7.
Mhm,
Um, for women, it is much later. Like between I think it's like late teens and late 20s, so it is like a very late stage. I think up until recently there wasn't even any research done on
mhm,
girls with ADHD. It was all just on boys, like so it was very a tip like they would see ADHD through that lens of this is what it looks like in a boy, so that's
mhm,
what it looks like in a girl, when actually it's very different. And I think that's when I spoke to my mum about it and I was like, I've been diagnosed and this is what it means. She was a bit like, she don't really understand. Like, I
mm,
didn't see those things.
yeah,
But I think again, her perspective of ADHD was a boy's perspective. Like, she would think about like really hyperact, like
mhm.
run around the classroom, like being naughty, like
Being
very loud,
boisterous,
being
yeah,
boisterous.
yeah,
Like, that's the way it comes through in a lot
mhm,
of boys. Whereas with girls, that hyperactivity is a lot of
mhm,
internal stuff. So it's a lot of mind
mhm,
hyperactivity. So it's a lot of mental noise and overthinking, things like that. We're deeply, deeply
mhm.
sensitive, very emotional people. So it looks very different
Mhm.
and
It's very inward, isn't it?
it's very
Yeah.
inwards, yeah. And I think that's why it's hard to explain to people that that's what it is
Mhm,
because I always thought that that was normal to have
mhm.
like a running narrative in
Yeah.
your mind every single
Like
day.
a self-doubt almost,
Yeah,
isn't it,
yeah.
to an extent?
Um, just to have like constant
Mhm.
songs in your head or constant
Yeah.
conversations in your head. Like I thought that was normal until my assessment. So for girls, that's where that again, because I think at an early age we learn that it's not acceptable
Mhm.
to be boisterous. It's not
Yeah.
acceptable to run around the classroom and be
Mhm.
very outwardly hyperactive. It's for girls, it's very different. We are expected to be very calm and very like polite and
Mhm.
don't say this and don't say that and just sit there and be very nice and gentle. So we learn very early that we cannot be those things. So that's why it becomes very internal and it's very inward and we don't really talk about it. And I think that's why obviously late diagnosis is now happening
Mhm.
because social media has changed that. There are people who are now talking about diagnosis and sharing their experiences, and women are going, oh my god, that's been me my whole life. And
Yeah.
but they weren't able to express it. I think now we've
Yeah.
got a language for it.
It's almost like it was a mask, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
that's basically what they call it. Yeah.
I think almost girls and women are probably more inclined to hide things better than
I
boys.
think whether you're neurodivergent or not, as girls and women, we do learn to mask things early
Yeah.
on because they're not seen as socially
Mhm.
acceptable. So
Yeah.
if you are neurodivergent, that adds that extra layer because you're like, extra weird or
Mhm.
extra different. And then that becomes like a confidence thing. I think that you don't feel like you can do those things publicly. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's almost you feel more uncomfortable in yourself then, don't you? Because there's a
Yeah.
doubt inside. of you more than understanding it, because in your
Yeah.
head it's just like, gotta mask this, I've got
Yeah.
to try and
Fit in
fit
and
in, or
yeah.
yeah, not just be able to express and be myself in whatever way is needed for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like friendships, relationships, like when you think about teenagers, obviously
Mhm.
they're really formative years. So thinking about, making friends, starting
Mhm.
relationships, having
Yeah.
partners and things like that when you're a teenager, you do just want to fit in. Like that's you don't,
Mhm.
want to be different. Like especially, I'm sure it is more different now. But when I was in school, like that was the main objective when you're a teenager is like,
Mhm.
get boys to like you and girls to like you as a friend and like
Mhm.
wear the right clothes and talk about the right things. Like you just want to fit in. That's
Mhm.
all you
In
want to
whatever
do
way it
in
is, yeah.
whatever way that you
If it
can.
fits what you want to do or not,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's such a difficult situation to be
Yeah.
in, because
Well,
you
nobody
feel
wants to
like,
be
yeah,
bullied or
yeah,
nobody wants to
be left out,
left
yeah.
out and
You
like
feel
stand
like
out.
you've got to live up to
Yeah.
the factor of being apart, but I think
Yeah.
everyone's doing that, and everyone's just like
Yeah.
almost lying to themselves of who
Yeah.
they are, which is crazy. And then you leave school, and then you find your
You
people,
try
you
to like
become, yeah,
become more of
yeah,
yourself and take
because you
those
can't
layers
upkeep
off.
it, because you
Yeah.
can't upkeep the mask of that
Well, that's
type of
basically
mask.
what my psychologist said to me when I went for my assessment.
Hmm.
He said, you've got ADHD, you've obviously had it since birth. He said, but I think what has happened is that you have been able to mask really, really well.
Hmm.
He said, like, but when you had your second child in particular, because it was so intense, it was COVID. I had a 1 year old when I got pregnant. Like, it was just a really intense time. He said that mask dropped because you physically could not keep up with it anymore. Like you couldn't hide. It was almost like these feelings inside me had just like, I just
Hmm.
stuffed down. Everything's fine. I'm a good mom. It'll be okay. And it was just like really trying to mask that. And then I had my second child and it was just like it just all
Hmm.
came out. And that's basically what he said about masking is that you can do it up until a point where it's just unbearable. And you do feel like you're going a little bit crazy because it is so internalized and you're just like, I have to let this out in some way. So for me, that's how it came out after my second child. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy though, isn't it, to think
Mm,
that it is taken. Do you think it's changing though, that women are finding out earlier now, because obviously we're
definitely, yeah.
getting the, like, people like yourself who are
Yeah.
opening and real, like, you got diagnosed and then opening up about it, and then
Yeah.
other people are like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that sounds like me, and it must be
Yeah.
good to, because that's only gonna end up going down
Hmm.
in age, isn't it? Which is
Yeah.
needed, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the earlier you can understand yourself, the easier and much
Yeah.
more comfortable and happy, I would say, your life would be for
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah.
if you
And
can
like I said,
understand who you are.
you've got I've got, kids in school now
Mhm,
who have got friends who are girls who have ADHD and
mhm,
autism, and I do think that there is this rise in diagnosis, which is a controversial
mhm,
topic because some people don't agree with it and think that it's a bad thing or whatever. But I do think it's that information
yeah,
aspect. It's that people like me are talking about it, and that's why I am happy to share because I do think it's really important. And when people message me and say, "Oh my God, because of your content, I've been to the doctor and I've been diagnosed," I'm like, job done. Like, I think
mhm,
that's an
fair,
incredible thing for anyone to have. So I do think it's because we have that information and it is, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of misinformation as
mhm,
the internet always is. But I do think that people sharing their story and other people seeing themselves in that story is a really positive thing for women and neurodivergent people and communities in general.
mhm, I'd agree,
Yeah.
because it's just, there's so much, like, I would say it could almost be a curtain, like,
Mm,
or a blanket pushed over, because
yeah.
so many people just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
People don't know what's going on. People don't know actually what ADHD consists of. People
Yeah.
have ideas, but
Yeah.
it's just not that, is it?
Yeah.
At all.
And even the way we've talked about like girls and
Hmm.
boys
Boys,
and women,
that's
and
completely
it's
different.
completely
Hmm.
different, but also like for me and then another woman, it will be completely different. Somebody who doesn't have kids is probably going to have a really different experience of it. Somebody who's going through menopause is going to have a really
Hmm.
different experience of it. Like it is like any condition in that respect. Everyone is going to experience it so differently. So it's not like a one size fits
Hmm.
all type of
Yeah.
situation. Um, And again, that's why a diagnosis is amazing, but you do need to really get to know yourself and your
Mhm.
needs and understand what does this mean for me, not
Mhm.
necessarily, copying off somebody else's strategy or whatever. Like you need to understand what it is that you actually need.
Mhm. Well, what would you say actually, what did you think you felt like you needed? What would you look back on now, and what was the changes that actually you thought this was needed to help you?
Creativity is a big
Mhm.
one for me. And I think I feel so grateful that I did start writing, for my community early on in that journey. I obviously wasn't diagnosed when I started writing, but I do feel like looking back, writing, journaling, having some sort of creative outlet where I can turn my feelings into some sort of form, like something
Mhm.
tangible, something that I can see and understand and process is just a really, really big thing in my life. I think it's so important. And the opposite of depression is expression. So a lot of people
Mhm.
think the opposite of depression is joy, and it's actually not. It's that when you are depressed and you are feeling really, really low, the answer to that is to express
Mhm.
something. It's to talk to someone, share something, have some sort of creative outlet. And that's what creativity does. It switches off that anxiety part of our brain, um, allows us to express ourselves in a way that feels really, really honest and regulating. So creativity for me, whether it's public or private, has just been huge. Like even coloring with my kids, like drawing with my kids,
Mhm.
I do that every single day because for me, it gives me time to get out of my head and just
It's a
move
relief,
through.
isn't it?
It's a
Yeah.
release, like move through
Mhm.
some of those emotions and like movement in general. We all hate that it's good for us, but it is
Yeah.
like,
In
going for
whatever,
a
yeah.
walk in
Mhm.
whatever way. Obviously, when I was a new mom, there was a lot of things that I couldn't really do, but doing a home workout, going for a walk, any of
Mhm.
those types of things to
Anything you can
move.
control, it's like
Yeah,
it's gonna better you in whatever
exactly.
way.
Anything for
Mhm.
that release of like
Mhm.
emotional energy,
Mhm.
that restlessness that tends to build up for people with ADHD, any type of movement, moving it through creativity or
Mhm.
physical movement has been
Mhm.
really, really big for me. Yeah.
Has learning your somewhat capacity helped as well? Then like
Yeah.
trying to, like even like we said, that people are trying to just push through until they burn out.
Yeah.
Is being able to just learn what you can do in the moment
Yeah.
help
So again, I'm like a
stimulate so
big
much.
advocate for cyclical living, which is
Mhm.
basically understanding your cycle as a woman,
Yeah.
because at every point in your cycle, we have different capacities. So we
Mhm.
have different energetic capacities, different creative
Mhm.
capacities. Like our energy is
Mhm.
always
So many different
fluctuating.
outputs.
So
Yeah.
many different outputs. Like it's always up and down, especially if you have got
Mhm.
ADHD. So understanding that your best is going to look different on any day.
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah.
can give 100% one day and be like, oh my God, yes, like go, go, go. A week later, it might be a very different story. And I think not feeling shame around that and just knowing that, oh, okay, like, okay, so for that week, I'm going to do the thing for like, at 100% and I'm
Mhm.
going to create and I'm going to do all of the things that I want to do and I'm going to feel okay about it because I've got the energy to do it. And then a week later, I'm going to know that my capacity is going to be much lower and I am going to rest and I'm going to reflect and I'm going to go a little bit slower. And knowing that, again, like with productivity type of like books and things like that, they're always like, you've got to do the same thing every day, like routine, routine, discipline, discipline. Like it's always this very regimented approach. But for women, especially neurodivergent women, that just does not,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just not what we're like. So understanding that you are going to be different and you fluctuate and kind of taking it day by day and working with that capacity, I think is really helpful as well.
Mhm. What would you say the hardest part of being a mum in this same time is? Because obviously, I can imagine having children and being a mum with also having ADHD
Yeah.
must be very overwhelming at times.
I'm going to be really honest with you
Mhm.
because I think some people don't say this.
Mhm.
It can be really boring for people with
Mhm.
ADHD. And I
Okay.
used to think that it's like this really weird contradiction of it's really overstimulating and it's really understimulating at the same time. So
Mhm.
when your kids are young, you are home a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like downtime when they're napping. You're very tired. You're in the house a lot. There's not a lot of things that you can do, and it's a lot of monotony, the same thing every day.
Mhm.
You've got your routines, like you've got certain things that you've got to do. There is a lot of parts of motherhood that I don't enjoy. I absolutely love my kids to death. And if my only job was to nurture my kids, to love them, to be with them, to hang out with them, and like help them grow,
Mhm,
I would absolutely love it. But the things like the constant housework, the boring, appointments that you need to keep track of, like the amount of admin that we have, like the school WhatsApp chats, like it is constant. And if you've got ADHD, you don't like doing
mhm.
boring things. So those types of things I find really, really difficult.
That's so interesting
Yeah.
to see it from that perspective. But
Yeah.
it'd probably be so refreshing for so many people to actually hear that because it's
Well, I
like,
just think there's that thing of like, again on social media, you see the highlight reel of motherhood and
it's amazing
it
every
is it
moment
is
of,
amazing and it
yeah.
is magical and there's so many things, but I think that it's okay to
Mhm.
say that there are parts of motherhood that you don't enjoy
Mhm.
and
And
they are the
yeah.
parts for
Mhm.
me.
But using that word, I do think it's very powerful in a positive way. I
Yeah.
really do, because I think there'll be mums out there who will be like, "Oh my God, I feel so bored at this stage,"
Yeah.
or "I felt like that," and it's
Yeah.
like, that's okay, because
Yeah.
we probably, as a mum, you probably judge yourself so much. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't be bored. These are like,
Yeah. And there's other
yeah,
women out there where that's like the best part of
mhm,
motherhood. Like they love being a homemaker
yeah,
and they
mhm,
love cooking and they love doing all of that stuff. And I think that's why it is so important to share about like different realities of motherhood because you should be doing it in a
mhm,
way that feels good to you and you should be doing it. I try and lean into my strengths as much as possible. Those things aren't my strengths,
yeah,
admin, housework, my husband would tell you they are not my strengths
yeah,
at all. They're not things that I'm interested in. If I could pay somebody to do it, then I would.
mhm,
Um, so I think leaning into your strengths is how you actually do enjoy
mhm,
motherhood. I felt very guilty about those things for a long time and being like, oh my God, this is a part of motherhood, but it's just not something that I want to do or that I
mhm,
enjoy doing. And I did feel bad about it. And now I'm just at a place where I'm like, actually, I'm just better at different things.
yeah,
And somebody else is going to be better at different things. And like my motherhood's going to look different to somebody else's motherhood. But this is what I need and this is what my kids need. And I just need to like stay in that bubble of this is how I want to be a mum,
mhm.
you
Well,
know?
we all have different ideas of like what suits us,
Yeah.
and it's almost, that's what I feel like is a issue in society, is everybody is designed around thinking there's one
The
idea,
same
or
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
like everything we do, even from a child to what we do,
Yeah.
it's like we go through a school system, then we go into a
Yeah.
university, then we get a job, then we find a partner, then
Yeah.
we have a family, and then
Yeah.
it's just that, and it works in the same pattern, and it never does it?
No, I mean, we've all got different
Mhm.
values, and that's what I try and do with everything that I do with motherhood, with my creative work, relationships.
Yeah.
I try and live in accordance with my values. So, like, creativity, as we've talked about, is a big thing that I value. So, in terms of my parenting, I incorporate a lot of that into our daily
Mhm.
routine.
Yeah.
Like we always have creativity time, we always have let's sit down. And again, like my kids with school, I will encourage them to be creative more than I'll encourage them to excel at, any
Mhm.
subject. Like for me, I'm just like, try your best, be creative, read your books. Like that's an example of me incorporating that value into to motherhood and everything that I do. Whereas, your son being the best at maths might actually be something that you really value and something that you
Mhm.
want to incorporate
Yeah.
into your parenting, and that's absolutely fine. You just
But
need to do it in your way.
it's just not a one line fits all,
No,
or one
no, never
process fits
is.
all.
Yeah,
Do you think, uh, with obviously looking at what we've just spoke about, but obviously speaking about society in general, do you think there is a problem that trying to design a perfect environment for everybody to flow through makes it
yeah.
more difficult?
Well, yeah, because I think that we have this
Mhm.
expectation that we can control every single outcome and that we can, I think that's where a lot of procrastination comes from. Is this idea of perfectionism and that we don't want to do those things because we're not actually quite sure whether they'll work
Mhm.
out and we're not sure what the outcome's going to be. A lot of women that I work with overthink the content. They have really, when they speak to me, they have
Mhm.
like really clear stories, really honest takes, really great opinions. But when I ask them about putting it into some sort of content, it's like, well, what about this? And what about this? And like they
Mhm.
overthink the situation. And why we do that is because we are trying to control the way it's going to
Yeah.
be
Mhm.
perceived. Like our brain's constantly trying to keep us safe. So we procrastinate on it because we think, well, if I don't do it, then I'm not going to fail
Mhm.
or I'm not going to be rejected. I'll wait until I'm ready, like that type of mindset. And I do think trying to create some sort of perfect environment or having this really high expectation of what that outcome's going to be, and you can predict that and you can have the perfect strategy for that, is just setting yourself up to fail. Like
Mhm.
it's never going to work like that. I go into every single project knowing that it could be an absolute flop, but I'm okay with that because it's something that I want to do. It, creatively fulfills me. And if it flops, it flops. Like it's not the end of the
Mhm.
world.
It should be, shouldn't it? It should just be comfortable to do
Well, I
that.
always think like it's either a lesson or a blessing. I'm going
Mhm.
to learn something from
Yeah.
it, or it's
Either
going to
way.
be a
Mhm.
huge success and it'll be amazing and that'll be great. Either way, I'm going to learn something from it. So I would never stop myself from doing it because I do want that experience and how it's going to change me and change my perspective and
Mhm.
stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to control what it's gonna look like or
Well,
control.
you just can't.
Yeah,
There
you
just
can't.
is no
Yeah.
control, and your mind will always try and control the outcome and
Mhm.
make sure that you are not going to fail and not going to be rejected because it's obviously
Mhm.
hurtful to your nervous system, but you cannot control the outcome, so you may as well just enjoy the
Mhm. Because
process.
whatever you think that is gonna do well or be success
Yeah.
or people gonna like never is what people actually like, which is the funniest thing
No, like
ever.
you can have a post go viral
Yeah.
at one time and you can replicate that a few weeks later and it will flop. Like
Or you
that is
think
just,
something's gonna do awful and then you put it out and you're like,
yeah.
"Oh my god,
To be fair,
what
the
happened?"
best things, like the most kind of, in terms of numbers and metrics and
Mhm.
stuff, the things for me that have been viral or sold well or like been most successful in terms of numbers have been things that I have
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
overthought, that I didn't have a strategy for. Within 5 minutes was
Mhm.
just like, oh, that's a really cool idea. And like
Mhm.
posted it. And
Yeah.
like it's just
It was
somehow
just, yeah.
resonated.
In the
Yeah.
moment, it was a thought that got put
Yeah.
into something that,
But I think
yeah.
it's because of that actually that it's successful. I think because I've stripped it down and I haven't tried to control
Mhm.
it and I
It's
haven't
natural.
tried to like filter it, like put it through a filter. I've just posted it completely unedited. I've
Mhm.
been really, really honest.
Yeah.
I've not had time, given myself
Yeah.
time to like procrastinate on it and
Mhm.
think, oh, should I do this? Or like, what should the colour be? I've just posted it and it's been the most honest version of the work
Mhm.
in the
I
moment.
think it's the work you enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We always think the most work we put in, the better outcome we're gonna get, but I feel like I enjoy more
Mm.
from the less work you put into something
Yeah, well, I think
because it doesn't all.
enthusiasm is magnetic as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
Like if you are enthusiastic about the work that you're putting out, other people are going to want to get
Yeah.
on board and be like, oh, this is really like, why is she so enthusiastic about it?
Yeah.
Like you want to,
Yeah.
I love seeing people excited about the work that they do. It makes me want to
Mhm.
find out more about that work and
Yeah.
understand like, oh,
Or it
why are they so
inspires you
excited?
to have
Yeah,
the same with your work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, yeah. Why do you think creativity has been so important to you for your life?
Because I do think that it is expression in some way, and a lot of the experiences that I have are very or have been very internal
Mhm.
because I've not had a language to be able to process and express the way that I feel. Writing for me, I don't really know how I feel until I see it on the paper.
Mhm.
So I'll go through that process of like writing it down and just doing like a brain dump and starting with one thing and then ending with another and being like, oh, I didn't actually know that I felt
Mhm.
that way about X, Y, and Z. But because I've just been writing for 5 minutes and then it's come through subconsciously. So I think for me, it was just giving a language to an internal feeling that I didn't know that I had and I didn't know how to express to other people. Even if I don't then share it with my community or with my husband or with, other people, at least I can read that thing and be like, oh, so that's why I felt
Mhm.
that way about that thing. So it has been some sort of release, but also an understanding of why I feel certain ways um and just how to process different emotions, I think.
Mhm. Do you think it's something that who you are? Like, do you think
Mm,
creativity is something we do, or is something that is actually who you are? Like, if you look back, do you think it's always just been something of who you are, not like I want to write?
mm. Yeah, I think that we are all creative people, and that
Mhm.
is something that I will always advocate for. Um, I think that that is what we are here to do,
Mhm.
especially, you know, women create life with their bodies, and yet they will come to me and say, "Oh, I'm just not a creative person." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You have the most creative energy out of everyone." So I am really, passionate about helping women use that creative energy and share their stories
Mhm.
and just express in some way, because I think it's really necessary for the world to hear those voices. But I also do think that every single person is born with that capacity, that part of their brain. Some people, like deeply sensitive people, neurodivergent people, are gonna have that part of their brain switched on a little bit more.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that you can't access it. Absolutely everybody can access it. Even if you think about before technology, like centuries and centuries ago, we have been creating things constantly. Like we create new industries, we create new technologies, we invent things, we make things with our hands. Like before, technology, we were making our own food, and we are makers,
Mhm.
like that's who we are. But I think obviously with modern times, we have kind of been disconnected from that a little bit, and everything is for capitalist purposes, and you should monetize this, and it's a business, and it's like we've kind of now got machines to do a lot of the
Yeah.
creativity for us. So it's harder definitely to access that creativity, and also creativity needs a lot of space
Mhm.
to come through
Yeah.
and get those ideas, which again we don't have. And we have constant access to information and busy lives and things like that. So it's very difficult. So when people say that they're not creative, I don't think it's that they're not creative. I think it's just that they're not giving themselves
Mhm.
that space for that creativity to come through.
Mhm. Definitely. The
Yeah.
one thing I do think is positive, though, I think even though there's so many other things such as intelligence or that
Mm,
to be able to create stuff, I think we're in a phase, and I think the phase will stay where if we see authenticity,
mm,
we get attached to it in some way. If it's something that
yeah.
resonates to us, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this person is being authentic by making it themselves or
Yeah.
having interact them with people themselves or doing
It's
what they
human
love.
connection, isn't it? Like if
Hmm.
we see something that is going to connect us to another human, it's a very basic
Hmm.
human need. Like
Yeah.
that's what creativity does for people. It connects people. And creativity and connection are very, very basic
Hmm.
human needs that we have. So I think when those two things become combined, when you share your creativity with
Hmm.
other people, even like mums, like if you are a stay-at-home mum, you are one of the most creative people. You get creative with your budget every day. You get creative with the food that you make, the activities that you set up. Like it's just a different way of thinking
Hmm.
of creativity. And that I think people have just got a very set mindset around you have to be an artist or a writer or a painter to be creative. And actually I think it's more of a lifestyle.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What would you say you've found the most of finding your voice, like not allowing yourself to be silent?
Yeah.
What would you say you've learned from that?
I think again it's just that coming home to yourself
Hmm.
and feeling like you're allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to be yourself. And I
Hmm.
know that that sounds so simple, and it's like online again, it's just be yourself and the right people will find you, and it's kind of oversimplified. It's really not that easy to be yourself at
Hmm.
all. But I do think that when you are honest, you have that honesty with yourself, and you're able to access parts of yourself that maybe you hadn't met
Hmm.
before. And those really true parts of yourself that, again, were there when you were a child, but over time have got hidden and masked. And there's a lot of layers to undo until you find yourself. But I do think sharing your voice, you are reclaiming it,
Hmm.
and you are, taking up space and learning how to say no to things, and put boundaries in place to put yourself first and just be like, this is what I think, and it's okay for me to have a different opinion. It's okay, nothing's going to happen. There's a lot of people pleasers out there that don't want to say the thing or share their voice because they think they're going to get cancelled, or people aren't going to like it, their family are going to disown them. And I completely get all of that, but also you are your happiest and most content when you are being yourself, and that
Hmm.
means being honest.
So we'd say honesty is the biggest
Yeah.
part of it all.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to fit to be louder or fit to change it. Like you said,
Yeah.
you tried so many different plans to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then it's all gonna flow
Yeah.
into place.
Yeah.
Instead of once you obviously got the facts, to be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
and then fitted what works for you. Hmm.
Yeah. And I think honesty, it again comes in seasons.
Hmm.
Like I think your truth now is going to be very different to
Yeah.
what your truth is in 6 months. So I think, again, you cannot plan for that. You cannot predict where your creativity is going to be in 6 months' time. But if you are honest now and you share your truth and share your creative ideas and the things that you think and believe now,
Mhm.
that is, going to be so cathartic for you because you are being your most
Mhm.
authentic self, but also for your audience. Like they're really going to resonate with that. But also accepting that in 6 months' time, you might be a completely different person and your truth is going to be very different. And that's also
Mhm.
okay. I think that was one of the biggest kind of limiting beliefs that I had to work through as a creative was I do go through many phases. And I do, when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I've been a fitness coach. I've been a mindset coach. I've been a motherhood. Like I've been everything. Like I really have. And I felt a lot of shame around that inconsistency and felt like, oh God, I just can't finish things. Like I'm just not very good at, following through
Mhm.
on things. And there are definitely things at play, like with ADHD and all of that. But also, I think when I look back at those things now, I was just following the things that interests me in that moment. I was following the things that I was curious about. I was embracing the season of life that I was in. I was embracing the creative ideas that came to me. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, that all led me to this place. And like, actually, from that phase, I learned this, and that was able to take me on to the next phase. And those phases actually aren't bad because I was being honest in every single area of them, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I love that though. To be able
Yeah.
to be honest with yourself is such a huge skill that people undermine what
Yeah.
it actually is. I feel like honesty is so difficult to come by, but once you
Mm.
can accept it, especially honesty with yourself, I think it's easier to be honest to another person about them. But then
Yeah.
when you're trying to talk to yourself about the honesty,
Yeah.
it's a difficult conversation. And then to,
Yeah.
but
And I
to,
think that's why
hmm
journaling for me is so important. And I do it every single day
hmm
because it is like a conversation with
yeah,
myself where I'm like, okay, what is it that I want to do today and who do I
hmm
want to be and how do I want to feel and how am I going to step into the day? And
hmm
it really is that conversation with myself. And it's more of a reminder,
yeah,
like, I'm not giving myself rules or like tell myself I need to do this big long list of things. I'm just kind of reminding myself, like, oh, okay, this is what I want and this is who I am. And in order to build that type of life, like, these are the things that I need to embrace today. No shame if you don't, but that's what we're going to aim for. And
hmm
and it's absolutely fine. But it is like that ongoing conversation with yourself to make sure that you are being honest and true to yourself.
hmm definitely.
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself before you understood yourself from the diagnosis? If so, the younger you, what voice would you tell the younger you? What would you say to them?
I was just like,
Go on,
okay.
say that again. Anyway.
I would just say that you are enough. And I know that probably sounds really cheesy, but
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like I've always been trying so
Mm-hmm.
hard to be enough and just, even as a mom, I was like, oh, I'm just not doing enough. And my husband would be like, you've done, like, he would list the things that I've done today and be like,
Mm-hmm.
you've done enough. Like, it's fine. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. But I constantly feel like I do have to do more.
yeah.
I am a work in progress. I'm definitely not perfect with that. That is like the conversation that I have to have with myself every
Mm-hmm.
day. It's okay for you to rest. It's okay for you to relax. You don't constantly need to be pushing. The kids don't need you to be there every second of the day to be like fixing things. I think just allow yourself to feel life rather than fix it
Mm-hmm.
and just be okay with the present moment and relax a little bit more and know that you are enough in that moment. You don't have to constantly be doing more.
Yeah. That would be so powerful, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
To be
I
able
think
to.
it's quite simple, but I
Yeah.
think especially for women, again, like women like me, millennials who've been brought up on this whole girl boss thing, we do feel like we've constantly got to be high
Mm-hmm.
achievers. We've got to be the best mum, the best at our jobs, the best creative. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've got to excel at all these things. We set this very, very high standard for ourselves, and often we have low capacity. So it's that gap of like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I want to do, but this is my capacity. We feel a lot of shame
Yeah.
within that
Of
gap
course.
because we
Mm-hmm.
can't really close it sometimes. And I think just eliminating that shame is in
Mm-hmm.
itself is a really powerful thing.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course. Well, I have a closing tradition on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's called the walkway, and the
Yeah.
question is: if somebody wore a day in your shoes, what's one lesson that they?
Um, think that okay.
Take your time.
Um, asked me this on the phone call as
Yeah.
well, and I still don't know what to say. What is one thing? Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, so if somebody was to walk a day in your shoes, what's one next thing they'd learn?
I think curiosity for me is a really big thing.
Mhm,
I'm a very curious person, and creative living is Elizabeth Gilbert, who's one of my most favorite writers, said creative living is following curiosity more than fear.
mhm,
And I think if somebody was to walk in my path, they would understand that because I like to think that I do live a creative life in that respect of
mhm,
I am just endlessly curious about things, whether that's myself and my own journey and what I can learn and,
mhm.
how I can absorb life more or how I can help other people. I'm curious about other people. I love helping and serving and nurturing other people and getting to know them. So I think really just being more curious in life and following those, for me, it's hyperfixations. That's kind of what we call them as neurodivergent people. Following the things that excite you essentially is what those hyperfixations are. It's following the things that you're passionate about, trusting that they're going to
Mhm.
lead you on the right path, and that again, you don't have to have a whole plan laid out, but if you are curious about it and you are interested in it, then just go for it.
Why not, eh?
Yeah.
People overcome it is a very deep question to ask, but
Yeah.
people definitely overthink that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
question. But when you do, when you just actually go for it,
Yeah.
it just
It's
comes to
quite
you,
simple.
straight to
Yeah.
you. But do you know what? I've loved the conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I know we spoke very recently on it at the end, but it's been so honest.
Yeah.
And I think that is what will shine a light so much. That
Yeah.
the understanding, I know you're honest anyway with all the content you produce and put out, even in your books and everything, but
Yeah.
just to have so much transparency and be open to talk about all these things that can somewhat feel so difficult to so many mums and people.
Yeah.
I've loved it. And even
Thank
to
you.
me, because to have that openness and honest conversation with a 20-year-old lad
Yeah.
who most people would be like, why would I want to have a conversation with him?
Yeah.
So thank you for that as well.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Yeah.